Thank you for joining me again as we continue exploring the articles of the armor of God. We have already touched on the first one, which is the belt of truth. And we learned that we should have truth. We should be possessed by truth because truth is a person. That is Jesus Christ. And today we are looking at the second article. That is from Ephesians chapter 6 and still in verse 14. So Paul goes on to say, having on the breastplate of righteousness. So remember, we are using an imagery of God's children being warriors or military men on a battlefield. And we know that we can't go to war without the right uniform, without the right clothing. And therefore, this is why the text said, put on the whole armor of God. And so as we are talking about this second article, Paul says we should put on the breastplate of righteousness. First, let's consider what is a breastplate. Now, if you were to think about the ancient warriors, they always used to wear a breastplate, an iron breastplate, which was basically to protect the vital organs that are here in the front, in the chest, and especially the heart. That is the main purpose of wearing a breastplate. So what is Paul talking about? Paul is saying that as we go on this battlefield, we must have our hearts protected. As God's children, we need to know that the heart is a vital organ physically, but it is also a vital organ spiritually. Let's start from a physical point of view. You know for sure that you see there are problems with things like heart problems, strokes and everything else that can happen as a result of a heart that is failing. And we know that if a heart is not in the right place, there are health issues. Equally, when your heart is not in the right place spiritually, you are also unwell. You are ailing. So what is the issue with the heart? Jeremiah chapter 17 verse 9 says this. The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Before we know God, our thinking, our feeling is not aligned with God's way of thinking and doing things. You see, we are not compassionate. We are not kind. We don't exercise goodness. Why? Because our hearts are not in the right place. There is a heart of a man who has not turned to God. So that person has an old heart, sinful heart. But you see, when we come to God, if you read Psalm chapter 51 and verse 10, David confessing his sins and turning to God, he says to God, create in me a clean heart, O Lord. In other words, God, give me the heart that is like your heart. It is from the heart that we express empathy, sympathy, and emotions. They come from the heart. In fact, let me go further to say, you see, the issues of life stem from the heart. We do not just think here in the head. If we are only thinking from the head, it's intellectual. But God made us to be emotionally intelligent as well. He calls us to really feel from within. Emotions, they are from within. They are not thoughts. And so here, Paul is saying, as you go on this battlefield, so much is going to happen. Yes, there is going to be raging war, but you need to go there with your heart in the right place. And so he says, let your heart be protected with righteousness. Righteousness is simply right doing. That is seeking to be like God. We do not have it within ourselves to do right, but we have a God who is altogether right. We have a God who is altogether righteous. And this is why you see we seek the righteousness of God, not our own righteousness. And so Paul is saying those that love God, they protect their hearts with right doing, right actions. Now you see, friends, we are in a world where most of us, we go and we see need, think in our thoughts, this is really bad, it's undesirable, and we do not act. Why? Because the head and the heart, they are separated. They are apart from each other. But God's children, we must be thinking from the heart. And so when the Bible talks of the heart, it is talking of the heart as the center of thinking, as the center of processing life events. Now you see, friends, I put it to us, sin does not begin in the head. Sin begins in the heart. And this is why God will say, if you love God, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. In other words, it begins from your heart. Love stems from the heart. Today, we have people who are suffering because they are told the words, I love you, which are intellectualized, but not really from the hearts. So many people are dying today because there is so much talk that is more intellectual talk and nothing that is emotionally connected. But God's children, we are called to ensure that as we go on a journey of life, we are to put on the breastplate of righteousness. Let us protect our hearts. Let us ensure that we are seeking to do things that are right by God and the things that are pleasing to God. May God bless us as we seek to protect our hearts. Amen.